welcome friends. Now today the lecture series of EMT. So today we will cover the topic Fresnel's law in electromagnetic equation. So this is why this come in electromagnetic theory, because whenever light is incident on a glass plate or certain in a water surface or at the boundary of some surface, then the part of the light can reflected, part of this can get transmitted, or there can be total reflection, there can be polarization. So what happens exactly when the light is incident on the boundary? Okay, so the Fresnel's law will tell us how much component of the light will be reflected, how much the component of the incident light will get refracted or transmitted, what are the conditions for the total internal reflections, is it valid, the Snell's law, is it valid for the electromagnetic wave? We know that the Snell's law of light. So let us check it out. So I am telling you that the every law of reflection, whether it's the Snell's law of refraction, everything will be valid in electromagnetic theory also. How is it so? Let's check. Suppose you have a light incident in the where the incident light is incidence like this way, okay, and you have a boundary of two materials, of two dielectrics, let us say, one with the refractive index n1 and other with the refractive index n2. Before I go coming to this video, I suggest you to go to the one of my video that is named dielectrics, where I explained physically the meaning of the refractive index of the dielectrics. Okay, there I solve Maxwell equation and I show you what do you mean by dielectric constant, what is the meaning of the refractive index, and same I also describe for the metal case also. So go and check that video. So let's proceed. Suppose you have the electric field that is incident like this way. So whenever there is an electric field, the components of electric fields can be can be thought as there is a parallel component of the electric field and there is a perpendicular component of the electric field, because in generally the light is unpolarized light. So any unpolarized light can be thought of, if this is the light, then it can be thought of components of along this and along this. It can be divided with two components. Okay, so one is the parallel component, other one is the perpendicular component to the plane. So let us suppose that here I take the light that is incident, the perpendicular to the plane of the incidence. That's why I describe it with the sign of cross. Okay, so E is perpendicular to the plane of incidence. Now the angle of incidence in θ1 is θ1, angle of part of the light will get reflected, so angle of reflection is θ3, and part of the light will get transmitted, angle of transmission is θ2. Now what will be the relation among these three components? Okay, so suppose we have the incident electric field, we have the solution from the Maxwell equation, that is E naught I exponential of j omega t minus ki dot r. Okay, so for incident light we can write like this. For reflected light we just replace I with this sign r. So E r equals to E naught r exponential j omega t minus k r dot r. Okay, and E0t will be E0t exponential j omega t minus kt dot r. Okay, so here the E naught I will be E naught r, E naught and E naught t for the reflected and transmitted case, and similar with the ki component will be kr component and kt component. So how can you understand this at the boundary? What happens whenever the light is incident on the boundary? So this is the interface of the two material. So there is some at the interface, and at the interface there should be some boundary conditions, and also from Maxwell's equations we get the conditions that curl of E equals to minus del B del T. So whenever you are going with the curl of something, okay, curl of E, how do you solve the boundary condition? You take the boundary, you take a square loop and you find out the continuity around this one surface 1 and surface 2. the components of surface 1 and components along the surface 2. And whenever you are going with the divergence of something, that is del dot something, suppose D, you take a pillbox where you find out the components of 1 and 2 and you find out the relations between them. So these are the boundary conditions. So you have to remember that whenever we are going with the curl of something, whether it is curl of E, we take a square loop, and whenever we are going with the divergence of something, just like del dot D or del dot B, we took the pillbox. Okay, and then we find out the boundary conditions. So here the boundary conditions we get, that is curl of equals to minus del P del T. So the tangential component are continuous. The tangential components are continuous. The interface 1 and with the interface of 1 and 2, and the magnetic field components B1 tangential by kappa 1 m equals to B2 tangential by kappa 2 m, where kappa 1 kappa 2 are the magnetic permeability, because they are dielectrics, so they have some, and I also take their magnetic kappa 1 m and kappa 2 m, their magnetic permeabilities. For simplification, I take this equals to 1. So these are my boundary conditions. So now at the boundary, what happens to the boundary? At the boundary, the K1 dot R equals to Kr dot R equals to Kt dot R. Why is it so? Because suppose you have an interface here and you have a wave that is propagating like this. You have to assume it physically, that whatever is happening there, this is a wave, so it has some crest and trough. So at the interface, the transmitted wave also have the same phase. Okay, and at the reflection, after reflection, the transmitted light may be out of phase or may be in phase, out of phase with the pi. So at the interface, the phase is constant, that is K dot R equals to Kr dot R equals to Kt dot T, which I express it physically like this. Suppose you have this wave, the wave at the interface have the minimum and maximum over it. So at the interface also, since the wave is continuous, so the transmitted wave also have the maximum, and the reflected wave can have maximum, can have minimum, depending upon the interface. If the reflection is happening from rarer to denser medium, there will be a phase difference of pi, but if it is happening from a denser to rarer medium, there will not be any phase difference. So at the interface, K dot R equals to Kr, I dot R equals to Kr dot R equals to Kt dot R. Now from there we can get, after solving the components of K and R, we get the famous laws of reflections and refraction, that is theta 1 equals to theta 3, that is incident light angle equals to angle of reflection, and m1 sin theta 1 equals to m2 sin theta 2. Hence the Snell's law can be obtained from the wave phenomena. Okay, so everything you are realizing from a wave aspect. Now suppose I have already told you that whenever the electric field is incident at an angle theta, it can be thought as the superposition of the two components. One is parallel to the plane of incidence, other one is the perpendicular to the plane of incidence. I am taking here the perpendicular plane of incidence. So here I just simplified the direction of the electric field, magnetic field, and the K vector. So you have the incident light that is coming like this, the propagation vector along this direction. So magnetic field, electric field vector is perpendicular to the plane of incidence. So magnetic field vector is perpendicular to E. So it will be like this. It is oscillating like this way. So you can solve it by vector notation also. And you can think from the, the electric field going along this direction and the propagation is along this direction, so magnetic field it is vibrating along this direction. Okay, for the thumb, the palm is representing the direction of the propagation. Okay, and my fingers are representing the vibration of the magnetic field vector. So this is the direction of the magnetic field vector, and this is, since this is parallel to the plane of incidence, I use the notation BI parallel. Now this is theta 1, so BI parallel can be solved in can have two components. One is bi parallel cos theta 1, another is bi parallel sin theta 1, but theta 1 is this angle. Similarly, for this is for the incidence ray, this is for the reflected ray. So you have the electric field just perpendicular to the plane of incidence, and the magnetic the propagation is going along this. So magnetic field vector will be like this direction. Okay, and so magnetic field like this direction means that it will vibrate along this, and it will have also two components. One is the B r parallel sin theta, another one is B r parallel cos theta 1. And here it is for the transmitted light, that is the electric field along this direction, and the propagation constant along this propagation along k this. So magnetic field is vibrating along this direction. So here also you can find out, this is the B parallel transmitted, and this is B parallel T along cos theta 2, and one another will be the perpendicular component. So here why I am writing this, because I am telling you how to find out the components, the direction of the components of electric field, magnetic field and the propagation. You have to know that whenever I am drawing the graph, I am drawing the figure, it must be consistent with E cross B along the k direction. Okay, you have to you have to keep it in your mind that this should be consistent with this E cross B direction should be the along the propagation direction. Okay. Now you find out that EI perpendicular n1 cos theta 1 minus ER perpendicular n1 cos theta 1 equals to ET2 n2 cos theta 2. So from this equation we can find out the part of the reflected and part of the transmitted light. That is, you find out ET by EI and you find out ER by EI. Where EI is the incident of the electric field and ET is the transmitted electric field. ER is the reflected electric field, EI is the incident electric field. So you are taking the ratio of these two. If you can get this, you can tell you that this amount of field, electric field has been transmitted, this amount of electric field has been reflected. Now why you are looking so? Because we are interested with the energy transfer, that is from the Poynting's theorem or Poynting vector, which notify you the direction of the energy flow, or which gives you the amount of energy flow, that is S is proportional to E cross B. Now E cross B, so E into B by C, E equals to B equals to E by C. So it is also proportional to E into E by C, that is it is proportional to E square. So whenever you are getting the E square, intensity is directly proportional to E square. So if you just find out the electric field components and you square it, you can get the intensity, and the intensity is easily measurable. So you can get the intensity of the reflected light, intensity of the transmitted light. Okay, that is our aim, that somehow we can measure how much light is reflected, how much light will get transmitted. Now electric field measurement is not so much feasible. We prefer the intensity measurement. For that intensity measurement, we can we'll see that the intensity is directly proportional to E square. So if we somehow get the amount of the reflected reflected electric field, amount of the refractive transmitted electric field, we get the square of it, then we can get the intensity of the reflected light and intensity of the incident light. So here, if you just calculate it, I haven't derived it, I just write down the formulas, that you get the R parallel components of the like this. R perpendicular is E naught R by EI, that is just I note here. The notation ET I used here as E naught T, and EI I used here as E naught I, because E naught here I usually represent the amplitude of that electric field. Okay, so you for the parallel components you get N1 cos theta 2 minus N2 cos theta 1 by N2 cos theta 2 plus N2 cos theta 1, and N1 cos theta 2 plus N2 cos theta 1, and R perpendicular. This is the reflected light, reflected amount when the electric field is parallel to the plane of incidence. It is the reflected amount when the electric field is perpendicular to the plane of incidence. And this is the transmitted amount when electric field is parallel to the plane of incidence. This is the transmitted amount when electric field is perpendicular to the incidence. So you have to take care of both the things, that one along the parallel to the plane of incidence, other along the perpendicular to the plane of incidence, and you take care both of them. So you take R parallel, T parallel, R perpendicular, T perpendicular. You find out the components. Okay. Now for the normal incidence. So whenever for the parallel thing, parallel R parallel, we can take that for normal incidence, this will be N1 minus N2 by N1 plus N2 whole square. So this is for the normal incidence, that intensity of the reflected light by intensity of the incident light. This will be N2 minus N1 by N2 plus N1 whole square, because they so this is for the normal incidence. For normal incidence, so theta 1 equals to 0, theta 2 equals to 0. So we will get that R parallel equals to R perpendicular components. That is the same amount. It is going back, and the formula will be T parallel equals to T1 perpendicular. So N1, the formula will be N1 minus N2 by N1 plus N2 for the reflected parallel components and perpendicular components, and T1 parallel, T1 perpendicular will be 2N1 by N1 plus N2. And if you want to measure the intensity, you just make the square of it. That is, it will give you the reflection, and this will give you the transmission. So you have to remember the formulas. Okay, these are very important formulas for measuring the reflection intensities, transmission intensities. If you know the refractive indices and the angle of the incidence, so you can easily find out whether the light is circularly polarized, elliptically polarized, unpolarized. It doesn't matter. You just make the light vector to two components, solved into two components, one parallel to the plane of incidence, another perpendicular to the plane of the incidence, and then find out the angle of incidence, find out the angle of reflection, find out the angle of transmission, and you know the refractive indices of the medium. So you can easily find out the reflected light, amount of reflected light, amount of transmitted light. That is the importance of Fresnel's law. Okay. Now, whenever the air glass, suppose we have a real life example like air glass interference, air glass boundary, where N1 the air and I take N2 as the glass surface. So N1 will be 1 for the air and N2 1.5 for the glass. And so ER by EI, that electric field component of the reflected, your electric field component of the incident will be minus 0.2. Why is it minus? So minus sign means there is a phase change of pi with that incident electric field with that reflected electric field. So there is a phase change of pi, that is the negative sign here. ER by EI equals to minus of 0.2. And if you take the intensity, so IR by II equals to square of the ER by EI. If we want the intensity, so you will take the square of the electric field. So this will be 0.2 whole square, that is 0.04, and the transmitted intensity will be 0.96. Okay. So these are the reflection when there is the rarer to denser medium. Now if we take, this is rarer medium and there is denser medium. So what happens? In case of rarer to denser medium, there is no reflection, total internal reflection. In case of denser to rarer medium, if this is light is incident theta I and it get reflected, it get transmitted with the angle theta t, and it partially also reflect back, that is theta r. Okay. Now if I make it more, that is theta, if the theta I get larger, this will bend, this will get larger and larger, and after certain time, after a certain angle of theta I, which is theta c, suppose, the light will be grazing along the surface, along the interface, and that theta c is named as critical angle, where the light, refracted light or transmitted light, is grazing along the surface, that is, this is 90 degree. And after theta, if theta incident is greater than theta c, none of the light will get transmitted through the medium. each of the light will reflect it. There will be total internal reflection. Okay, there will be no light that is going outside. This is not a big theory, but there is a mistake that is here. I want to tell you that it is not actually like this. We are told that there is a total internal reflection and the light is coming back along the medium and there is no transmission of light. But actually there is not like that. There is a component Et which is varying like exponentially decaying like this. This is like an exponentially decaying component. How should I denote it? If you say you have this electric for the transmitted component and it will be some kind of exponential of some coefficient alpha by lambda. I mean exponential decay of the equation of this electric field, that is transmitted electric field, where the decay it will end up to an order of 1 by lambda. So it is staying for a very minimum order, for a very narrow order. Here it is actually like this. It is somehow penetrating and then it will come back to the medium. And this wave, which is exponentially decreasing wave for the transmitted electric field, it is called evanescent wave. And this is very much important way for the detector, optical detection of the material, where it can sense the change of the refractive index, it can sense the change of the matter, because the information which evanescent wave have, it is in this interface. If there is somehow the medium is changed, this can be utilized for the sensor, okay, sensing device. So you don't have to know about this, but in research this is a very necessary concept, that there is actually an evanescent wave in this critical angle or below, after this critical angle, where the evanescent wave, it is exponentially decaying and the order of the decay is 1 by lambda. So this is the total internal reflection. Now there is another thing, that is polarization. In one lecture I will tell you the whole physics of the polarization. For now we just think about the Brewster angle. We all know that Brewster angle is that angle whenever light is incident at Brewster angle theta b, the incident light, the reflected light will be partially polarized, and transmitted light will be partially polarized, and the reflected light will be plane polarized, and the plane of polarization will be perpendicular to the plane of the incidence. Okay, so why is it so? What happens to the Brewster angle, that the refracted light will be partially polarized and we get a plane polarized reflected light. You see, the reflected light component, that is parallel component of the reflected component, will be minus tan of, from Fresnel's law, we also derived that minus tan of theta 1 minus theta 2 by theta 1 plus theta 2. So whenever theta 1 plus theta 2 equals to 90 degree, what happens? This becomes 90 degree. So tan 90 will be infinite and this R parallel is 1 by infinite, that is 0. You see here the parallel component of the electric field gets 0. So there will be the perpendicular component of the electric field. So that is polarization, that there is no the electric field components along, there is no parallel component, that is only defined in a certain orientation, and that is perpendicular to the plane of incidence. That's why the reflected light we get, that is 100% linearly polarized light at Brewster angle, that is tan theta p equals to n2 by n1. You can also derive this, that theta 1 plus theta 2 equals to 90 degree. So cos of theta 1 equals to sin theta 2, and from Sel's law we get that n1 sin theta 1 equals to n2 sin theta 2. Thereby we can get that Brewster angle tan theta p equals to n2 by n1 for air glass interface. Theta Brewster equals to 56.3 degree. One real life application of this critical angle is optical fiber. Where we have an optical fiber, if you send a light signal, the light will total internal reflection will happen and there will be no energy loss of the intensity in the light. So if you have some information here and you want to send the information miles away to somewhere else on the earth, without, you don't want to lose any information, any intensity of the light, you will simply use the optical fiber, and the information will go within the optical fiber where there is total reflection phenomena. There is no loss of the information, and you can take the same information which you send here. Okay, this is the real life example of the total internal reflection, that is an optical fiber. So now today I told you some of the physics regarding the Fresnel's law in electromagnetic theory. In next classes we will discuss some more physics. Thank you.